Coming up on Be Kind, Let's Rewind.
Today we are talking about the 1999 release, American Beauty.
My name is Lester Burnham.
It's okay to watch this movie. Guys, you can watch whatever the you want.
Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
Kevin Spacey was not the first choice for this. They actually wanted Tom Hanks, and I think Bruce Willis was kicked around too.
See Bruce Willis masturbating in the shower.
I see it when I close my eyes.
Went to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
But especially people that were reserved, you would walk down and just look over at the crowd, like, or the people in the audience, and they're just like,
"Me, Your Majesty!"
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music.
1970 Pontiac Firebird, the car I've always wanted, and now I have it. I rule.
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
"What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for." Today we are talking about the 1999 release, American Beauty. We have special guest, Mr. Gibbs, back with us. Gibbs, thanks for joining us.
Is it Mr. Gibbs?
Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead and kick off like we have been, guys. Where do you first remember seeing this or hearing about this? And I'll start because this was prime theater era for me. I remember this movie came out. I think one of our good friends, Bill, was actually building this in the booth, and we had to preview it. And I was like, holy shit, well, that'll ruin my mood for the rest of the month. So, but awesome movie. It was one of those that I don't think it opened to sold out crowds. It was one of those that kind of maybe it built a little bit. I just feel like there was like a groundswell eventually that where it was started to be like sold out every showing. It may have only taken a week or something, but I was like, holy shit, like why are people going to see this? But anyway, Gibbs, where do you first remember seeing it?
I actually had to rent this one. My parents are, super Mormon. I'm going to do that again this time. I actually remember I was watching the Blair Witch Project, which came out, I think, July of 99.
Mm-hmm.
And that trailer came on, and I was like, oh, it had Baba O'Reilly in the trailer.
Yeah.
God damn it. That will get me every damn time. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a great movie. It's got Bob O'Reilly in the trailer. So I was desperate to see it. I was like, Dad, can I go watch it? You let me watch Blair Witch Project. And he was like, come on, man. I'm not going to let you go watch that. It shows somebody taking off their shirt in the trailer. So, of course, I had to get a friend of mine to make me a bootleg copy. And I watched it on VHS maybe a few weeks after its VHS release. And I fell in love with it. It was
this is one of those movies I always consider a Gibbs movie. Yeah. Like this and like Adaptation. I remember when you were like super into that one for a while, but it's
Speaking of Chris Cooper.
Yeah, when we were talking about possibly doing this, I was like, well, if we do, we got to get Gibbs on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Chadwick have been quoting this movie to each other since we've known each other.
I rule.
Yeah. Chadwick, where do you first remember seeing it?
Actually, I have a pretty funny story. I don't remember how we wound up going to see a matinee, but I was actually with my mom. It was one of those like
a classic.
Like I was. This was 99, right? So I guess maybe did it come out during the summer?
It was like September. It was like end of summer.
Yeah,
September.
Yeah. Okay, so my mom and I went and we went to a matinee, and there was nobody in the theater except for maybe 6 or 8 women. They must have been there on like a girls' day or whatever. And they were a couple rows in front of us. But I remember it specifically because one of the opening scenes is Kevin Spacey in the shower just pounding dick.
Yeah.
And, you know, my mom did. She wasn't like a Shaddy, no. but the two the ladies in front of us, Gibbs is kind of like, in As Good as It Gets, when Nicholson walks out of the psychiatrist's office and he goes,
What if this is as good as it gets?
and you hear that woman go, like, she's just like, oh, my life is over.
Yeah,
we got one of those whimpers from one of those ladies, and a couple of them got up and left immediately.
And your mom turns around and she's like, Shadi, is this why you take so long in the shower every morning?
This is why your dad never has hot water.
Right.
All right, Leaf.
Leaf, what about you?
Man, I vividly remember this one because it nearly caused my girlfriend to dump me because one of the scenes, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, yeah, I started laughing and I could not stop laughing, and it was not meant to be funny. At least I didn't. It was to me, and she got so mad. She leaned over. She's like, if you don't stop laughing, I'm leaving. Like, she was livid. And so we saw this in the theater together. And I'm sorry, man. It's a dark comedy, and that was my thing, man.
That's the thing about dark comedies. It's like you just got to pick and choose where you're going to laugh, and maybe you're right, and maybe you're wrong. Just depends on what day it is, you know.
I discovered some dark portions, in my soul after watching this one.
Yeah,
because there's some areas that were not supposed to be funny, but absolutely were. So,
well, speaking of dark areas of your soul, that's going to take us over to. All right. So this week, guys, if I'm going to be fucked by the king, I'm going to be drinking the king of beers while I'm doing it. God damn it. So I've got me some original Bud.
Do you like the king fucking you?
Yeah. Yes, your majesty. So Budweiser, the Bud Heavy, if you will, out of the gate. So cheers to the fucking stud. We'll end with Gibbs. Leaf, what do you got?
Man, my wife, we have this Empress elderflower rose gin in honor. She made me this delicious little cocktail,
nice.
Man.
God damn, I hate gin. You bitch.
Oh, you goddamn bitch.
Oh, nice. All right.
Last of the bottle, you can see.
Cool.
So, cheers.
Shaddy, what are you chugging on?
Well, that's not water. It's actually, if you can get that.
Oh, you got the Rocks Terramana?
I got the Rocks Terramana. And I don't care what all these trendy rich assholes say. Tequila is not for sipping.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my god!
No, I've tried, and if Dwayne Johnson's around me, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, I brushed my teeth.
I brushed my teeth to that shit, you know. But yeah,
gotta get you another glass, Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, Mr. McMahon. So, all right, Gibbs, we'll end with you, man. What do you got going on your booze of the week?
Today I changed it up. I got a little Chianti. Oh wait, no, it's Bud Light. And
the Chianti of beers.
As always, this red face is brought to you by the original.
Every single time, and I love it, Gibbs.
No, don't do it. No, somebody stop this man.
So let's roll over, guys. American Beauty.
I rule.
This thing has cleaned up in awards. Actually, I found out, surprisingly enough, some people considered this. When I was talking about us covering this, they're like, "Oh, y'all are gonna actually cover that?" I'm like, yeah, it fucking happened. Like, it's a good movie. Like,
yeah. Okay. So
the first off, man. Yeah, you go ahead, Shadow, because I'm about to be pissed off by this.
Yeah, usually when we're going to cover something, I'll try to catch a couple of podcasts from other people just to like see different angles or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything that I found on this talked about how even if you liked it back then, you don't or shouldn't like it now. And to all those people, I say, fuck you.
I'm ripping your head off right now. It's off, and now I'm throwing it at your body. Fuck you! Oh.
Gibbs, go ahead.
I just the thing that bothers me about this is you have to look at things from the time period in which it came out on. The technical aspects of this movie are insane. The themes are universal no matter what. This is how people actually lived their lives. So like, this is a very good, accurate reflection. I hate the fact that we have to clean up everything. Like, the thing about this movie is it is about finding the rot in the dirt underneath the veneer that is covering our life.
If you don't watch this movie and see a ton of shit about yourself, especially when you're in your 40s, or shit from your past or friends or people you know, it's super relatable.
Yeah,
like, as far as like the feelings that these guys that they're going through in this.
This shit happens. The controversial crap about falling in love with a high school chick. Guess what? Turn on the fucking news. This shit happens.
Shit.
Like, and the thing is, like, these guys that do this in real life, yeah, it's a fucking shitty thing. It's a terrible thing, and it's disgusting. However, like, just pretending like it doesn't exist doesn't get rid of the fucking problem.
Oh, man.
And like, shedding a light on this sort of thing is a really good thing. I think the problem people have is that he is an empathetic character and a likable character. And that's the thing, though. Like, the reason why these people actually get away with doing these things are they're charismatic. They are like this.
You get to see him go through this big change. The person at the beginning of the movie, the person in the middle of the movie aren't the same as the person at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because
so he's 42 in this movie.
God damn it.
And yeah, I know, right? If any one of us can say that at 40, 42, we didn't kind of look at our life and be like, where has time gone? I've not achieved, what I thought that I would. My mid to late 30s, I was actually very unhappy.
Whenever I was 42,
I fucking had to make a change.
I did not do this whenever I was 42. I haven't ever reached 42 yet, you old motherfuckers. But I will say, like, me personally, and this is probably a rarity, is whenever I look back, I'm like, I've done so much more than I ever thought I could achieve. I've achieved more. I've done more. I am in a better place than I ever could have thought possible. So, like, I can't relate in that degree, but yeah, I mean,
I definitely thought about
there are aspects of my life
so your life's great. Good. Moving on.
But what I'm saying is there are things about my life that I'm actively trying to change to always get better. Like, there's always room for improvement. I just don't have the same, like, kind of.
Well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait till he's 18.
I've gotten better at treating people like absolute dog shit.
Oh no, I got all kinds of regrets and shit. But this is what this movie is kind of about. It's like, especially with him, we've all known people, like, we know probably people that are still like this, where it's just like they died 10 years ago, and they're just like going through the motions, and they're just.
Well, there's like an expectation from society. When you get your nice, beautiful house and your nice, beautiful family, you have to act a certain way. You have to do certain things. The scene at the very beginning, whenever he's narrating and introducing the characters, his family, and all that shit, when she is talking to Scott Bakula, and he's like, "Oh boy,
oh boy."
And when she's talking to Scott Bakula about, like, what is the secret to your gardening, like, that shit makes me groan in real life. If somebody comes up to me and starts being like, "Oh, I need the recipe to this," I'll be like, "Don't you have fucking Google?"
Scott Bakula, he's
like, shit, man, this is a boring conversation. I don't want to talk about, like, the fucking chives I put in my soup.
He's like, Al, I'm in a gay marriage. How long before I'm out of this one?
Ziggy says in order to leap out, you got to work the shaft.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. All right, Leaf, man. Kick us off with some boring-ass facts on this thing.
I got y'all, man. We're talking about American Beauty, directed by Sam Mendes, written by Alan Ball.
His first film directed, by the way.
Really?
Yes, his directorial debut. Imagine coming out of the gate with this one. It's a dark comedy, of course, that explores the complexities of suburban life in America, starring Kevin Spacey, Annette Bening, Tor Birch, Allison Janney, Peter Gallagher, Mina Suvari, Wes Bentley, and Chris Cooper. This kind of blew my mind. The film only had a budget of $15 million, but grossed a whopping total of $356.3 million, dude. Can you imagine that being your open out of the gate like film? Like,
dude, speaking of Peter Gallagher, that actually leads me to shit stuck in my head this week.
Gotta ask you though, if it hits you, is it my point or yours? Well, I'm winning then, I guess.
All right.
Peter Gallagher's, he plays the douchiest characters. Imagine having that dude's face, incredibly good looking, but just a scumbag.
Does he have some kind of record for eyebrows? Like,
I like him.
Yeah,
I do too.
That's what all the girls try to make their eyebrows look like that now.
You know, if it was the 70s and you looked at his eyebrow, you'd be like,
I bet that tastes good.
I miss it.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Chris Cooper, you mentioned adaptation earlier. Chris Cooper, I spent my entire adult life thinking that he won an Academy Award for this, and it didn't look like he was even nominated. Whenever I was
really
for the podcast, I was like, "What the fuck?" But he did win an Academy Award for adaptation, which deservedly so. But man, I was surprised that he wasn't nominated for more things in his career.
Was he also the dad on Varsity Blues?
No.
I
don't want your life.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. What's the dead blonde headed guy's name? Paul Walker. Wasn't his dad?
No,
I don't believe so.
Did you just go all the way around just to get that one in?
No, I thought he played his dad.
Theatrical debut was September 15th, 1999. It has a runtime of 155 minutes, or about 2 hours even. For those of you curious and wanting to watch it, it's lengthy, but it is packed.
Why are you going to go
back full of good stuff?
Why are you going to go that fast in a car and hit a telephone pole?
Stop. All right,
you're just not going to let it go.
Yeah, not going to let it go. All right.
Naga.
Not gonna. Chadwick's not gonna work here anymore. Leaf, go ahead and take us. We'll do our normal scene by scene. Gibbs, Chadwick, any behind the scenes, any insight, as always, man. We'll chime in with all that stuff. And as all of our podcasts, it's completely under
allegedly. That's ignorant.
So just anything we say, just know it's allegedly. All right, go ahead.
The opening scene, we start off with a voiceover, of course. But right before that, the film's opening scene is a video. Seems to be for those of you who remember them, a camcorder. Rendered useless by today's phones, but this appears to be a digital video camcorder. The film opens with a video of Jane Burnham, played by Tora Birch, being filmed by Ricky Fitz. We'll find out who he is later, played by Wes Bentley. She talks about wanting to kill her father.
Someone really should just put him out of his misery.
This is followed immediately by a voiceover. We get into the real meat of the movie immediately by a voiceover by Kevin Spacey, aka Lester Burnham, in this film, who introduces himself and states that he'll be dead within a year.
I'm 42 years old. In less than a year, I'll be dead.
Straight out of the gate. I'm like,
pretty cool little intro, little opening where you're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. I like movies where they start off with that the guy's gonna die, like in Sunset Boulevard and shit like that, where you know the protagonist is gonna get there, so it's about finding out how we get there.
And like they even do a great job teasing that shit at the very end of the movie, which we'll get to, but like done. Just shot extremely well.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get a panning shot of basically like suburbia. And I don't know, the first time I thought this, I was like, man, this is a total spoiler alert. You just told me what happens in the movie. Before I'd seen it, I was like, dude, he's already dead? Like,
he's fucking dead?
Well, also, like, originally, whenever they were making this movie, it was bookended by trial. So, like, that video was being shown at the trial, and that was supposed to introduce you to, like, what happens. And then at the end, there's more trial at the end. So that was supposed to bookend it, and then they just realized that made the movie suck.
So did you know that the book was, at least parts of it, it was loosely based on Amy Fisher and Buttafuoco?
Joey Buttafuoco over here.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know that until recently. I always thought it was kind of like a take on Death of a Salesman. But like, whenever I started like doing some research, I was like, really, Joey Buttafuoco and Amy Fisher? Buttafuoco.
Joke that nobody remembers. Anyone listening to this, if you're not of age, which I mean,
I don't know, man. If any of me, and I think there's 4 other people that have the Vice channel. They did a documentary on it on the 90s, and they actually had Joey Buttafuoco's wife on there.
You're trying to tell me that Vice is still around?
Yes, it is. Just because they do wrestling stuff.
So we're introduced to our character Lester, and his life just absolutely sucks. Like, he's just jerking off in the shower. And at this point in time,
how does your life suck if you can jerk off
in the shower?
Yeah.
That's the highlight of his day, and it's downhill.
Also, do you want to talk about a great way to shoot that? Because that's the most defeated beat off I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
shoulders slumped.
He's not using the shower head on the undercarriage. He's not. He's not. He's not propped up on the wall. He doesn't have a leg over the side. Anything.
No, I don't know if this is a me thing, but jerking off in the shower sucks anyway. Like that shit turns to fucking glue instantly.
It's cummy bears coming all inside your fucking pussy hairs.
This is why we bring Gibbs on. This is the inside scoop.
This is the quality.
They don't call me old lefty for nothing.
And so somewhere in some theater, two church ladies leave Shadwick's theater immediately after the scene. And it's for the best for them. They made a wise decision because this is not a movie for the lighthearted. Lester's wife.
I bet they had to start pounding their Bibles like he was pounding that dick.
That's what you don't know anything about Christianity, do you?
Yeah.
Reading the Bible in the shower. Reading the Bible in the shower also sucks, and it gets sticky.
It turns to glue.
But I'll tell you though, the Old Testament was fucked up.
Lester's wife, Carolyn, played by Annette Bening, tends to the garden in this scene in a business outfit.
That's my wife, Carolyn.
And it's just a complete miserable bitch.
Look, I gotta say, this made me hate her. Like, Annette Bening, I couldn't like her in anything after I saw this.
Yeah, which is crazy because I loved her in like The American President.
Yeah,
and
but she does such a great job. I mean, she encompasses all that is bitch, even in this opening scene. Like when he's describing, when he says like,
see the way the handle on those pruning shears matches her gardening clogs? That's not an accident.
Trimming the roses or whatever. It's like she's just so meticulous and so just everything that is Karen.
She literally is. She literally is, and we get to learn more. They go deep into her character later on, but you already don't like her.
Does
you don't
king.
like.
I actually watched this with my wife the other day because I wanted to know what she thought about it because guys are going to always think that women are shrewd no matter what, especially like a powerful, strong-willed woman. And so I was asking her like, "What do you think about her?" And total fucking bitch. And I was like, "Oh, all right, I'm okay with it." I'm okay with it.
So we watched it last night too. Before we started, my wife's like, "So what is it that you like about this movie?" And she goes, "Is it because he's like gets with that young girl?" And I was like, "No, that's just a part of it." I think women tend to focus on that. And it's a big part because it's a catalyst of what he ends up.
Well,
becoming.
it's like it's more fantasy than anything.
I don't want to generalize, but I do feel like women have a greater emphasis in their lives on having a nice, pretty house and putting up a facade. Not all women, by the way. Please, guys, in the comments, don't give me shit. But you can.
No, they won't.
You can talk about what color your feces is in the comments.
Yeah, you just let us know. We'll send you Gibbs' home address. You can mail him letters.
It is an interesting topic because you do learn more about her character, and from a female's perspective, she's also going through her own shit.
Right.
Yeah,
in this movie.
You can see by the end of the movie, she also becomes a little bit more sympathetic, and you start she loosens up and becomes a little bit more of her free self.
Yeah, you get some details about her character. So, I mean, I feel like the females that watched it, like my wife and I watched it, and she obviously doesn't like that character, but it's really deep.
So the takeaway is, if your wife's being a bitch, you just have to push back, and then she'll ease up a little bit.
No,
that always works out for the best. And finally, the daughter. The daughter is basically a mini version of her mom, at least in the very beginning. Just a super snarky emo kid, and neither of the female characters in this respect the main character, Kevin Spacey's character Lester, even in the slightest.
But I even identified, not when I watched it because I was full of testosterone, but looking back now, like Dude, I was a whiny teenager. Like, I didn't realize how fucking good I had everything.
Yeah,
I was like,
I think they did a pretty good job on making these teenagers like full of teenage angst. They don't like their parents. Obviously, they think they're smarter than all adults.
No, I 100% agree with that. They did a very good job with so far. The characters are just really amazing. Like immediately, you kind of know everyone is. The voiceover lets you know Lester's like feels like a loser and is treated like one by his family immediately. None of the girls look at him with any sort of respect. They get in the van together and they're riding to work/school. Like, so he doesn't even want to have his own ride. It's like
body language too by Kevin Spacey, by Lester. And look at him in the back seat, like trying to sleep more in the back seat because it's just an escape. Looks like a peer into my life right now.
You know, if he would just jack off quicker, he would have been able to sleep in the
Yeah, but it's hard standing up. Like,
can we please move?
No,
past
okay.
this?
Last thing on this: have you guys ever waterboarded yourself and just laid on your back in the shower?
That's a favorite hobby of mine.
Lester's job even sucks. He even gets shit at work. I guess he works. Is it a magazine publication or? Yeah, something of that nature. And he just gets belittled. A guy that's been there a month is downsizing the company. So his job is he's going to get fired.
Right.
Like, that's one thing I caught the second time I watched it. It's like he's basically trying to be the nice guy and gently let people down, his boss, or should I say his this corporate lackey. And he's going to get fired. He's older now. He's not as young as he used to be. He's got dirt on the people in the company. He's been there so long, but like
you can relate to that too, man. Because you're like, like you're in your 40s. It's like if you get laid off, in your 20s or 30s. Like okay, like we can. But when you're in your 40s, you're kind of like,
yeah. And Chris and Gibbs, you guys both know about that corporate bullshit. The place that we all work together. I was training a replacement basically before I pushed back on it, and eventually I just, fuck it, I left.
Eventually, life got better. Shadwick ended up being shot in the head at the end of the story.
A lot better.
He's dead.
If I had stayed at that place, I would have been shot in the head by myself.
I used to work for a corporation, and like one time, I ended up having to lay off some people because I hired a hooker and she ran up a bill at the hotel.
You gotta afford the
Jesus,
hooker.
that's someone's salary.
Yeah.
So after a long, hard day at the office, he comes home for a dinner, and like
it's turned up a little bit in that Saturday Night Live skit with Will Ferrell and Sarah Michelle Gellar, where it's like the family at the dinner table and they're all like yelling at each other.
100 push-ups in 20 minutes.
But it's really in the same vein because it used I think it's gone away now. But when we were kids, it was like you're going to the dinner table to eat.
Well, I was going to ask that.
We try to do that.
Yes. We never did. We always had these little trays that would like slide under the couch or wherever you're sitting in the living room, so we could sit there and watch Andy Griffith's show.
Yeah,
or
no, man.
Whatever it was, my dad.
We were 100% at the table. We were sitting at the table. We were eating together, and a lot of times it was just like I appreciate it now as I was older because like I understand what my parents were trying to do, but back then I was just like, this sucks. I want to go watch one of my 13 channels.
Listen, I paid $0 for my dinner table, so by God, we're gonna use that fucking thing.
I absolutely hated it. Even when I went to friends' houses for dinner.
That was another thing too.
Table.
Yeah,
you remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, dude, my son. He's anytime we're like, hey, we're eating at the dinner table today. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you in your sleep.
He's like, hey, Dad, have you ever seen the end of American Beauty? And you're like, yeah, why? And he's like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I know where you're going.
Gibbs is like, man, if I had just gotten sticky in the shower one more time, I wouldn't have had you.
The mistake by the lake. There's like 4 people on this podcast that are the mistake by the lake. Like,
so the dinner ends. Life sucks. He's estranged from his daughter. His wife hates him, disrespects him. So he goes to the kitchen. And they're trying to make amends. He's trying to make amends with his daughter, but like suddenly the screen switches to this grainy, disgusting video cam texture, and you realize they're being watched,
surveilled.
they're being surveilled, and we find out they're being watched by one of their new neighbors. This young guy, this kid. I guess he's supposed to be a kid. He looks more kind of grown, and he's one of the creepiest human beings alive that you've ever seen. He has an evil looking face. I mean, he dresses like a Mormon or a Baptist pastor wherever he goes, and he's like stalking them. And this is going to be a reoccurring theme, like as we move forward. Soon after, Lester's wife is evidently a real estate woman, and this is where we get some more information about her. We have this scene of her attempting to sell this house. She's a real estate, like I said, woman. She cleans it up, and she's like basically strips down and is cleaning the house. Why does she clean it? I don't have any clue. I thought
that's how I saw in your notes too. It may just be a realtor thing, like staging the house.
Honestly, like whenever you're looking at a house, if you see those lines on the floor, like that looks like it's just been. It's welcoming, and you feel like it's welcome.
But also, you feel like it's like kind of you get the feeling it's an escape for her to just like be lost in work, and not deal with what the fuck's really going on. But
right, she's her career is everything. Obviously,
I think it was in the commentary, like during the scene. She's showing these people around the house, and they keep flashing to different couples, and every time she's like, you can even put in a skylight. Well, originally. They were supposed to have backstories for these characters, so like the reason why they all look grim, like you could put in a skylight. Well, the guy fell through a skylight one time or whatever. Played by John Cho, by the way, from American Pie, the MILF guy, and Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I recognize him.
I noticed it last night.
But yeah, so like she showed them that, and then she's like, check out the ceiling fan or whatever, and that guy had been injured by a ceiling fan or something like that. So every single time, like she's saying something that is personally hitting them.
Right.
Then you got the two softball catchers at the pool. They're like. The ad said it was lagoon-like.
That bitch. Dude, I wanted to. I've gone through a lot of TVs in my time, but I wanted to drop kick that fucking TV every time I see that bitch. But I didn't do it this time.
Good for you. She's on par with that chick from Waiting. She's like,
let me ask you something. How hard is your job?
Oh,
I've sent about $15,000 invoice to Rihanna.
Rihanna was called. She told you she called for you on the TV. I seen it.
I've seen it.
But anyway,
you ripped a man's jawbone off.
Like that. Honestly, like I feel that pressure from her. Like that scene is so like man. It's
sell the house.
Yeah, and she has to sit there and put up a face, even whenever she starts getting snippy. Even at the end, she's like,
I have some tiki torches in the garage.
Like she looks so desperate in that situation, and I feel for her in that moment, and then she ruined every other scene after this.
Yeah, she does. That is the one scene that really hits home for this character to me. It shows her like her desperation to be successful. It's her mantra. It's everything she wants is success. It's how she's defining herself, even though she has a husband and daughter, and a life outside of that. Those seem to not mean anything to her. Like this is her life.
And after that,
she's focused on.
After the last people leave, it shows her like she goes inside and has a breakdown. And she starts to cry, and then she like smacks herself in the face and calls herself a baby. Like,
shut up! Stop it, you weed, you baby! Shut up!
Well, I don't remember who won Best Actress that year, but goddamn, she did such a good job.
Yeah, like she was hitting herself so hard in that, like to where. You even going back and watching it now, I've already seen this movie a few times. Like you're lost in that scene where you're like, Jesus Christ, lady! Like,
yeah, and she did that in one take.
Oh wow, good for her, man.
Yeah, well, she was horny and she needed to go masturbate in the shower.
You go to the shower.
Well, that's what I was just about. It's funny enough, I was about to say that.
I bet she is a shower head.
You have a lot of these funny moments where they're, he's masturbating in the shower. We made fun. We laughed. It was funny. Like everyone laughed in the theater. I remember seeing it. This is where there's
not everybody.
That there's comedic moments all throughout the very beginning, and then when it comes to this, I remember vividly. This is one that silenced the theater.
Yeah, there's that uncomfortable feeling in the theater when you're watching this, where everybody's
when
like,
she's.
ugh.
Yeah, it was really nasty. You feel genuinely sad for her. It is not funny at all. And like that, so the darkness immediately comes in right here. And we're not even too far into the movie. And it's about the female character. And I wonder if any women that watched this, had that kind of feeling. For some reason, something tells me more now that more than this time we live currently.
Yeah.
They're more career-oriented women than ever. I think
For sure.
a lot of women watching this would probably identify with that feeling more than even when we were there, because women seem to have found more satisfaction in the past with home life, with homemaking,
which is another reason like this movie being buried sucks.
Yes.
Like, it's okay to watch this movie, guys. You can watch whatever the fuck you want.
Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
Yeah, no one's gonna watch you.
It's not,
and it's on Paramount Plus. Sponsor our podcast.
It's good. You know what else is good about this? Like Lester is he's the main character, but this is a story that kind of breaks apart and tells 6 different stories through the different characters, right? And it all like comes back at the end,
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is like a main theme, but you see that theme explored from 6 different viewpoints.
Yeah. And they're all dealing with the same thing, except for Ricky Fitz. That guy's just plot device, but like all of
he's got it all figured out.
And the Jims, the 2 Jims, seem to be the only normal people in this.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk about him later. Do you guys think, especially?
Let's get to it. What are you selling?
Oh yeah, we're about to get to that scene. Do you think Gibbs? Especially Gibbs? Do you think Sam Mendes, if this wasn't his directorial debut and it was made currently, do you not agree it would be probably 3 hours long? Like 100% 3 hours long. With now that it's more,
there's enough meat on the bone.
I think that they. I don't know. I think because he's stuck pretty close to the script.
Okay.
Like, so I don't think he would have added anything to it, and so I think it's bare bones, and he actually took out the bookend. So I don't think so. Also, like whenever you're a first time director, you really want to stay under budget. As much as humanly possible. So I just don't think he would have pushed it. If this was like, I don't know, Kevin Costner, then it would have been 3.5 fucking hours. It's usually the established directors that kind of get full of themselves that kind of bloat their movies.
So speaking of other acting talent, Kevin Spacey was not the first choice for this. They actually wanted Tom Hanks or
Sammy Davis Jr.
Chevrolet Chase.
Chevy Chase.
Oh,
and I think Bruce Willis was kicked around too.
Now I think Sam Mendes himself wanted Kevin Spacey first, but the studio always is going to be like no, and so they offered it. They
I literally can't see, and all those mentioned a bunch of great actors, but like I don't see anybody else pulling this off.
I mean, maybe Bruce Willis, but the other guys are too
likable,
right? This was the same year that Sixth Sense came out, I believe. So
I could see Bruce Willis
doing some good shit.
I could see Bruce Willis masturbating in the shower.
I see it when I close my eyes.
Go to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
Let's push forward here.
He's like, welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah. Well,
I shot a kid.
Yeah.
that was Al.
We come to our first controversial scene here at the high school basketball game. Lester and his wife are going to see their child, and her friend, of course, that we find out Angela Hayes, played by
and poor Lester. He's missing the James Bond marathon to watch this bullshit.
He was missing James Bond. Also, I think this is the iconic scene where they're supporting their daughter doing a little cheer thing at the basketball halftime,
and she doesn't want them there.
And no, but then
and Lester says that he's like, she's going to resent us for this.
He knows.
Yeah. And what she says something about her. About the daughter hating him. He's like, she hates you too.
Yeah. Misery loves company, man. What I want to do, though, is I want to take the music from Fast Times at Ridgemont High from the pool scene when she's like, I always thought you were cute, and put it over this rose scene and see if it syncs up, because I think it will.
You know how cute I always thought you were.
Yeah, the choreography done by
we'll find out in post. So the girls are dancing. The high school girls are dancing. Again, this is the first controversial scene. And Lester, he sees Angela Hayes, played by Mina Suvari, dancing, one of his daughter's best friends. And he immediately becomes infatuated with her, starts to fantasize. And we get the first fantasy sequence in the film where the rose petals, and you see this, if you see the poster for the film, in any of that,
dude, it's
always
on the Paramount
the Rose
Plus thumbnail for this, the Rose Petal Sponsor podcast. It's on there, and it's iconic. When you see that, the rose petals and her, you know what it is.
I can't hardly see anything with a woman in rose petals and not think of American
And it has been
Beauty.
parodied to absolutely fucking death by everyone.
Yes. So, yes, again, controversially, Lester's fantasizing about a potentially underage young lady.
Hey, at least she wasn't stuck in a fucking washer or dryer.
And after the performance,
That's a sticky situation.
No, it wasn't in the shower.
They meet the girl, like the parents meet the girls in the parking lot. It's the most awkward, cringy interaction you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Lester's just like, he basically is like, "Good job, honey," and he turns to like her friend who's standing there, and it's like, oh, it's so disgusting.
Like,
and this,
he's like, "You were good too."
Yeah,
very precise.
Yeah, very precise. That was the verbiage there. Yeah,
it's the most pervy and so Kevin Spacey, is an incredible actor at this point in time. At least to give him his props. His character is what I want to talk about, though, because you guys already mentioned it. You can you see where this is coming from, and I think that obviously it's problematic, but you see why he's arrived here, right? Like you get it.
He's sexually frustrated. He's unhappy with his job. He's just
unhappy with his marriage, his life.
He's disrespected.
His wife hates him. His daughter hates him.
He's a pedophile.
Hell, Lundberg fucked her. I mean, nothing's going on.
I mean, he's and you can see where he's coming from, and this is kind of like the cataclysm that jumpstarts this whole the whole movie. Really is this is it. This is what
this
causes
is a big.
The drama.
Big turning point,
right?
Yeah.
So if you look beyond, the perversion of it, it's like it was a starting point for him to change his life. Like he needed a spark, and I guess the thought of that young, precise poon was
her body was very precise.
Yeah. Also in that scene, Carolyn becomes a fucking bitch again, but she makes everything about appearances and shit. But also she's trying to act like a good parent. She's like, you didn't screw up once. But if you watch the dance routine, Jane fucks up a couple of times during the dance routine. So obviously she wasn't paying attention to her daughter. She was probably sitting there thinking about the house that she didn't sell.
Probably thinking about the fucking king.
Not yet, Chris. No. Soon. In my opinion, I think that she was just a blatant fraud, and she's a liar. I think she did notice she messed up, and I think she wants to look like a perfect mother. I think she wants to appear like the best, and everything with her is so analytical. It's all calculated.
But
it's
also,
that I have to encourage my daughter. We have to show up for this because she needs it. This is what we have to do. There's no interest in the actual humanity of her daughter.
And also, the language that she uses is very telling about her character, because the way that she says that you didn't screw up once, it's phrased as if she was expecting her to screw up.
Right.
Yeah, I watched really close. You didn't screw up once.
It's so damn insulting, no matter how she puts it.
Right. So, that's a good point.
Condescending.
She's just a bad mother all around.
She reminds me of a lot of women that my mom has worked with over the years. I'm not editing that out.
She reminds me a lot. She reminds me a lot. She reminds me a lot of a woman that I divorced.
Yeah, I didn't want to go into that, but I was like, when I was watching this movie, I was like, this kind of reminds me of a story.
Well, I lifted that line directly out of this when I was like, oh no, you don't get to tell me what to do.
I do remember that.
Ever again.
Yeah. All right, let's move forward.
A lot of powerful moments. Yeah. So we digress from.
Yeah, I can't keep talking about that, or I'm going to have to go to the shower and crank one out.
So
Oh, too late.
I'm gonna shoot it over me. All right. Hi, Gibbs.
Hi.
So the creepy guy across that's been filming turns out to be the son of the guy next door, who we get to learn more about his family. It basically the scene cuts to them and they're having like a breakfast of sorts. And I still, and maybe Gibbs can shine on some light on this. I don't know what's wrong with his mom. I don't know what she's afflicted with. She looks abused, scared, and catatonic.
Yeah, and I think that's basically what it is. He's such an overbearing person and personality.
Who you're talking about is Colonel Frank Fitz, played by Chris Cooper.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, Colonel.
So
Colonel Frank Fitz.
Yeah, his
a
mom.
Retired homophobic Marine.
Yeah, so
the mom is like just fucked up because of like the overbearingness. Like she's just.
Yeah.
I had to do a double take. I had to look it up on IMDb because I thought the mom was the same one that Michael Scott goes on the blind date.
Are you Michael Scott?
When Pam hooks him up with that girl.
That's very offensive.
That's very offensive. I thought it was the same person. It is not.
Miss Allison Janney. She's T.J. Craig on The West Wing. She's an amazing actress.
Okay.
Chris Cooper, wins an Academy Award for adaptation. I'm only bring that up 3 more times.
Just keep bringing it up, dude. That's your movie. I remember that.
That's my movie. That's my dog.
Gibbs used to just go to his room when we were living together, and he's like, "I'm gonna go watch adaptation," and I was
Gibbs
like,
used to have.
All right.
That's not a lie. I would do that all the time.
I mean, in fairness, we were both completely shit faced and about to go to bed, but he was going to go to bed watching adaptation,
and he was going to go to bed watching Happy Gilmore.
I was going to say it. I knew it. I knew that too.
So we meet Ricky Fitz, we meet his mother, and we meet Colonel Frank Fitz, the retired homophobic Marine. We know this because that's basically exactly how he introduces himself when 2 gay guys that live in the neighborhood come to welcome him and his family with a lovely care package. Welcome to the neighborhood. And do people still do this? Like I remember back in the day, that's the kind of
shot.
The Colonel after a very awkward breakfast where he is literally reading some sort of Fox News paper.
This country's going straight to hell.
Yeah, right. The Colonel drives his son Ricky to school where they have a fun conversation.
Sandworms.
Yeah.
Here's a couple that's good and stupid.
Yep.
Yeah. We learn a little bit more about the Colonel as time goes on.
Turns out he's super woke.
He is quite the opposite. So Ricky drives his son Ricky to school. Has been filming the family, and when he arrives, Ricky approaches Angela and Jane in the schoolyard where they're smoking, which is just.
I'm just going to say it one more time.
Hold up. Let's go back to the neighbors for just a second, because
wait, Jim and Jim.
Yeah. Like they come,
the gay neighbors.
Yeah, so they come to offer him whatever,
welcome basket.
Pasta or something, and and they introduce themselves as partners, and they're just trying to be friendly. And he goes, "Oh, hold on, just get to the point. What are you selling?" Like nothing. We're just yeah. And he goes, "Yeah, but you said you're partners. What kind of business are you in?" And they're like, "Well, I'm an accountant, and he's whatever." Like, and then does it dawn on him then? I guess that.
Actually, I think it's at that point he realizes that he's working on a secret project to go back in time to fix the rights that were wrong.
Stop making quantum leap references. I know more from this out. Actually, I think that's the last time you see the gay guy.
Hold on.
Done.
Yeah.
Ziggy, something's messing up here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, his dad is like Ricky's dad is completely oblivious.
Yeah,
like that. The Colonel Fitz is just he's obviously retired military. He is extremely strict. He is just in his own world, and he is obviously extremely homophobic. Absolutely can't stand gay people. He says so in the car ride.
Yeah, I was going to say that right after they meet. Right? Is that when he takes them to school?
Yeah. Yes. It's the very next scene.
But yeah, so what I found out now watching this back, because I remember I used to hate I hated the fucking neighbor kid when I first watched this for whatever reason because I was ignorant and 18. And now going back and watching it, I'm like, that's the coolest fucking dude in this movie. Like, that's the dude I hang out with. Like,
I don't like him. I don't like him.
Really?
He needs to keep his fucking hands away from my son. No, I think he's all right. I really don't think that there's much depth to this character. Like, yeah, he's cool. You know, everybody that smokes pot is cool.
Well, I feel
Kids, go out there and smoke pot.
I feel.
Yeah.
Comment below how much pot you smoked.
Hey, pot. Sponsor our podcast.
Yeah. Put it in there. A big pot.
Big pot. Sponsor our podcast. I feel like, too, he may be like the realistic view of outside looking into the movie because he sees everything going on as it is pretty much.
I always thought it was just clever how he plays a character in front of his dad. Like,
yeah.
He's just showing his dad what he wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think that's what we all do.
Ignorance is bliss.
Well, you see that in the car because when he says, "Don't placate me like I'm your mama boy," he turns to his dad and placates him in military speak immediately, and it works. Yep. It absolutely works. He's like, "Yes, sir. No, sir." And
he's been playing this game so long, right? So he knows what to do now to keep him out of military school,
right? So. More on him as we go forward, but he, the colonel drops Ricky off at the school, and the point of this scene is his interaction with the girls. Mm-hmm. He approaches Jane.
My name's Ricky. I just moved next door to you.
I know. I kind of remember this really creepy incident where you were filming me last night.
And tells her that he finds her interesting, and of course. Angela, Jane's friend, is immediately disgusted because he's not interested in her, and Jane basically tells him that she doesn't like him. He's weird. He's giving off strange vibes, and to leave him alone. And also, evidently, we find out later that she wants to have 10,000 of his babies.
Dude, and that was in every fucking commercial.
I have 10,000 of his babies. Shut up.
Yes.
Everywhere. Like that was the clip that they played. You want to have 10,000 of his babies.
That
was everywhere.
I swear to God, her delivery of "you total slut."
I know,
kills me every time. It is such a.
Nina Savari was really fucking good.
It's the wild,
insanely good.
It's the wide crazy eyes one, and I think it's just the angle of the camera. It almost looks like she's cross-eyed when she says it.
Yeah. And she says it weird. It's just a really great delivery. I fucking love it.
Yeah. Me too.
Well,
I would imagine this isn't a legitimate interaction between females. Obviously, me and my guy friends, we all talk about how things used to be. I don't know what it was like for two girls, smoking cigarettes and talking against the wall, but I imagine this is pretty legitimate. It seemed authentic to me.
Well, I was a journalist whenever I was younger, and I went to school pretending to be younger. I'd never been kissed at this time, by the way, guys. So I never...
Get the fuck out of here.
So I know exactly.
Going into this podcast today, I did the top of my list of shit Gibbs wouldn't say was a never been kissed reference. So somebody hit 1,000,000 to 1 odds on that. So
that was a movie.
Yeah.
But so they have that interaction with Ricky. Jane's totally into it, you can tell, but she basically tells him to screw off at that time, but we're not done clearly. So that's the end of that scene. Then we move to the real estate party.
All right, honey, I won't be weird. Okay. I'll be whatever you want me to be.
This scene is just chock full of hilarity. So Carolyn drags her husband to this convention party for real estate brokers, and Lester makes a complete ass of himself, just like Shabik said, in front of the real estate king, and evidently the top dog in the business.
Yeah. So Lester, at this point, he's starting his descent into a happier life, I guess, into not giving a shit anymore. Basically,
he's fed up.
Yeah, he's tired of her attitude, the way she treats him, whatever.
Right.
He doesn't want to take part in her facade anymore. So she's introducing him, and I can't remember what he says now. Something like, "We have a very healthy relationship."
Yeah.
When he's making out with her, and
he
shit,
makes out with his wife. Yeah, and in a really awkward way.
And he's on that edge during the scene. And then, typical to drugs, marijuana takes him over that edge because it's a gateway drug to happiness.
It does. It does. So yeah, he basically is fed up with his wife. He makes out with her in front of everybody else.
I am not shitting you. In my notes, I wrote Ricky sells Lester a gateway drug, a gateway to a happy life.
Dude, it's like we live together or something.
So fed up with all of the facade, Lester decides, screw this, I'm going to go get drunk at the bar, and he meets none other than Ricky Fitz, evidently working for a catering company.
Ricky, don't lose that number.
Ricky, he asks him if he likes to party. And Lester decides, Lester decides he does indeed like to party. So, they go and yeah. So they go, let's do this. So they go and they smoke a bunch of weed in the back parking lot. And this scene is very, very significant because while he's already started to begin his awakening with the underage girl, I feel like this is at the actual turning point for Lester.
Yeah, man, because weed's made him a gateway to happiness, and we still won't legalize it.
Well, and he makes this teenager his hero. Like,
dude, yeah.
The boss comes out and he's like, "I'm not paying you to do whatever you're doing out here," and he goes,
Fine, so don't pay me.
Excuse me?
I quit.
Well, that was
That's
inspirational for Lester as well.
And then Kevin Spacey or Lester's like, "Oh Jesus, my pants just got tight."
He did.
My pants are getting tight. My pants are getting tight.
And then, of course, Karen has to come out and ruin the whole fucking thing.
What are you doing out here?
What are you doing out here? You just having some shit. You motherfucker. You fucker. You fucker.
The Carolyn's hair, if you look at it from the front, it looks perfect. If you look at it from the side, it's all sorts of fucking stupid looking. It's supposed to be like, she's so self-absorbed. All that matters is what she sees herself in the mirror.
Right.
And all that.
I thought she'd had her head shoved down someone's lap while he was outside being happy.
Yeah, Sean brings up a good point. This is where she starts. You could tell she just is in love with the king of real estate. This guy is just like the pinnacle of success. She not only admires him, like there starts to be some sexual tension between them. Obviously,
the king's like, "Who wants a mustache ride?"
Yeah,
exactly. And Lester's out back smoking weed, and he experiences his own awakening at this point in time, and realizes that the happiest he's ever been was when he was basically banging chicks, flipping burgers, and getting laid. You know, we're at the pinnacle of
banging chicks and getting laid.
I mean, how many times do we think back to the movie theater days where we're like, we're very happy. We're very happy in our lives now. Obviously, we married amazing women and all that stuff. But also, you're like, there was no responsibility back then. $5.15 an hour somehow made it work for you and your roommates.
And that's where I think I connect most with Lester is about the job thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, like, I can't tell you how many times a week I bring up working at the movie theater. That was fucking 20 years ago, man.
Yeah.
But that was
lifelong friends.
Lifelong friends. It was such a pivotal moment in my life, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Even the bad days were fun, you know, and that shit matters. That really
so then like
matters.
in this movie when you see that and then Lester's character is like, fuck, man, like
and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that like this is not like your typical midlife crisis. There's some elements of that, but in my opinion, he realizes what he's lost by going the direction that he's gone and doing the things that he's done, and he decides he wants to recapture at least some of what he had before, right?
Yeah.
Some of his manhood,
that happiness, you know,
and more. Yeah,
let me just crack open some happiness. All right.
Exactly.
Take a tug if you like.
Take a tug if you like. Thanks for the laughs.
So we were
still tastes like tequila.
They return home, Lester and Carolyn from their party, and Lester finds his daughter Jane and Angela having a sleepover. Lo and behold, right as he's stoned, looking through the refrigerator.
Stoned and drunk.
He immediately has a creepy fantasy that he's making out with his daughter's friend. And then he pulls out a rose from his mouth after he's done kissing her, and we realize it's yet another one of the fantasies. So we find out that's where the rose is kind of symbolized, where his fantasy
is this where he's asleep?
Not yet. Soon. Okay. Yeah, he's awake, and so he
he's
going to bed.
He's listening at the door when the girls are in there. That part's pretty creepy.
But the scene when, like, whenever they hear something, like, what's that? And he just runs.
What's that noise?
It's so awkward the way he runs. It's
hilarious.
It's like a little kid, like, you know, like you just got busted and you're running away. It's awesome.
And what he overhears is Angela like knows that he likes her because he made it so obvious, and she's egging it on. Like she's absolutely like, I'm gonna like do these things to your dad, and Jane's like, stop, like please stop trying to have sex with my dad.
She's that girl from Walk Hard, Cheryl Cox Teagues.
Yes, she absolutely is that person. So she doesn't help. Not to say that she's responsible for any of it, but nonetheless, she's like trying to encourage him more of that interaction, and that's sort of the persona she wants
because she loves to show everybody. She wants attention.
Yeah,
and she says if he would just build up his chest and arms, I'd totally fuck him. So
exactly.
So what does Lester do?
Not before stripping off, brain hanging, and just in front of the window, because you can kind of see your reflection out of the window, but everybody can see in. He doesn't care. He snapped. So as Lester runs down to begin his journey working out, the girls are still chit-chatting about, as girls do, just randomly. And they hear a little tick at the window, a second-story window, and they're like, what the hell could that be? And they open up the window to find the driveway on fire. Mm-hmm. And Jane's name written in cursive.
Oh, I thought that was the Batman symbol.
It would have been cooler if it was, because Ricky's a psychopath.
Impossible.
Yeah, and he's just filming in the window as the girls are. And this is an insane scene to me. This is one of the scenes where I was like, this kid is a psycho.
Yeah,
like,
also,
there's more.
Side note, I was like, I mean, didn't you steal that from an 80s movie? Yeah. Probably.
Did they?
Honestly, like, I think this movie would have been so much better if, like, that caused a house fire and everybody in it perished. And it's like,
you know what? That needs to be my short non-anxiety cut this week, where it's just like the fire happens, I'll cut to a house fire, and then the credits will roll.
Like in the foreground, like in front of the fire, just silhouettes of Ricky Fitz getting beat up by his dad.
It's a shared universe with Mel Gibson's The Man Without a Face.
So we move on to Carolyn's her fling with Buddy Kane, played by Peter Gallagher, of course, the successful real estate mogul. She admires. She decides
easy with that Longfellow stuff.
She finally meets him for lunch, and of course they go to a seedy motel.
Dude, how great is that? How great it is the trashiest of trashy motels. Hourly rates absolutely apply here.
Jesus, you guys really think so? This is the nicest place I've ever seen.
It's so disgusting, and it turns out she does enjoy being nailed by the king.
You like getting nailed by the king?
Oh, yes, I love it.
So do you remember when we worked at the theater and we found that scene? Like, sometimes we would time scenes. So like you could go pick, like, we were back at the door, I was in projection. So you could pick when you walked the theater because you had to X amount of times. And so we would time it, like on The Matrix, we would always time it at the very end of the movie when it was that badass scene. There was one for when we timed an NWO theme, like the Jimi Hendrix music. They had a Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Child, so we timed it so I could do the NWO walk down the while I was walking the theater, like Hogan did. But so for this one though, we timed it when it was like she was being fucked by the king, and so we would like walk in, and so it's like already an awkward scene. but especially people that were reserved, you would walk down and just look over at the crowd, like, or the people in the audience, and they're just like,
Fuck me, Your Majesty!
right as what's her name is getting railed, like her legs are in the air. It's like a graphic scene. So we get to the scene where she has her extra marital affair, and Lester has begun his journey on change. He buys more $2,000 Yukon Gold from Ricky because that's what he wants to do now. He wants
$2,000. $2,000?
Yeah.
$2,000.
No, thank
Jesus,
you.
things have changed.
Fucking thank you.
Not even now. This is 1999, and I'm still like, dude, you're supposed to be a middle
for that
class
amount of
family,
weed
right?
too.
Yeah.
I have a nameless weed expert that I'll talk to about this, and we'll post on social media how much that weed should cost.
It must have been the highest grade hydroponics in the city. Lester starts jogging with the gay dudes. He quits his job, but of course not before blackmailing his boss for a massive severance package.
And that shit was baller too.
So this fucking letter is, God, that's how I want to quit my job.
Yeah,
that was a thing of glory.
I think this and Office Space came out around the same time, but it had shades of the Office Space, like what you do every day, like, where you just like, spend half the day daydreaming, blah, blah, blah. Like it had kind of had shades of that.
I escape to the bathroom and masturbate while I dream of a life that doesn't so closely resemble hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is also Shadwick verbiage too. Like when I thought about that, I was like, that'd be something Shadwick would say.
While he's reading that back to Lester, like Lester sits there smiling and said that last line with him, and it's just so satisfying, man.
He mouths the words with him. Like,
that's so great. Yeah,
So his basically a resignation letter.
Yeah, he's so proud of it.
Mm-hmm. He was asked to say what he did in the company. It's just full of like just foul shit. And the guy fires him, and he's like, all right, well, what kind of severance package am I going to get? And the guy's just like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I know
off all this shit. Yeah.
This, and this about this guy and his affairs and paying women for sex and all kinds of foul stuff.
Yeah, and he's like,
guy's like,
what if I throw in a sexual harassment suit? I can't sue against you.
Yeah.
Can you prove that you didn't offer to save my job if I allow you to blow me?
and his boss obviously replies,
now that is a dirty little bastard.
That is one dirty bastard, Dad. And so he immediately whistles as he's loaded his little box from his company, and he is out. And he gets, I believe he mentions it later on at another family dinner that he blackmailed his boss for like nearly $60,000.
Well, you know what? Actually, Fight Club came out the same year too, right? 99?
Yeah, I think so.
And he did the same thing, basically.
Yeah. Dude, there was a lot of angst in the 90s.
There was a lot of people that were in jobs where we're like,
nah. Some of this money he uses to buy a 1970 Pontiac Firebird, his dream car.
It's the car I've always wanted, and now I have it.
I rule.
That is, I said that every day in class at some point in high school after I saw that movie, man.
After he buys a car, he's sitting in the living room. And he's playing with his little remote control car, and the bitch comes in. I mean, his wife comes in, and then he starts like telling her, like reminding her about what a great person she used to be, how free and fun she used to be, and he starts like kind of getting up on her, and she's kind of getting into it, and he's kissing her neck, and she like turns her head, and she sees that he's holding a beer bottle, and she's like, Lester, you're going to spill beer on the couch.
Oh, dude.
God, I want to punch her.
Dude, when I saw that again, rewatching that like yesterday and today, my penis inverted.
At the beginning of that scene, whenever he like hits her with the remote control car, that was an accident that wasn't in it, and you can actually see him crack. He breaks.
Yeah, he laughed like I saw it. Yeah.
This next scene is where Ricky is basically he's out in the schoolyard. He's about to walk home, and Jane is with her friend Angela. Usually rides with her, and instead she decides to walk Ricky home because, of course, she likes him. He's a good-looking dude. He's 18, so he's a little old to be in college, so he's an older guy, too.
He's got an endless amount of pot.
An endless amount of money and pot,
That's attractive to me.
Yeah.
So they're walking home, and they're having this conversation. And he's asking her if she's ever known anyone who's died. And she replies, no. And she asks him the same. And he's like, no. But he says, I did film a dead homeless woman who froze to death on the street.
What are you needing me to talk about?
I can't decide.
This is why I can't watch movies with Leaf.
Honestly,
we can't be in the theater together. So Leaf, tell the story about where you were in the fucking movie theater and it almost cost you a relationship.
All right. So he invites her back to after that conversation about filming the dead frozen woman, he invites her back to watch the footage. And she's like, of course, yes. Because this is how you pick up women, I guess. Upon arriving at his house, his mom is sitting alone at the kitchen table, completely catatonic.
Yes.
Still don't know what's wrong with her. When Ricky awakens, her kind of shakes her like to consciousness. She introduces her to Jane. Her mom apologizes to Jane for the house being a mess. And the screen cuts to the dinner table in the room. And it's immaculate.
Pristine,
It's perfect.
She's still fucking shook from that date with Michael Scott.
I will say that
she's like, I'll make you some sandwiches.
Yeah, let me get you some sandwiches.
That is one thing I hate about suburban life and living in this fucking world is everybody says that. You go to their house and like, I'm sorry that place is such a mess. And you're like, oh, fuck you! I don't.
Oh no! I used to say that too. And what it actually meant was, this is the cleanest my place has been in fucking 4 years.
Look at
It's
it.
a lot.
Look at it.
And then, so I'm continuing to laugh at that scene because, like, his mom is so weird. Something's wrong with her. I can't figure out. She apologizes, and it's clearly a joke because Jane looks around the room, and there's not a speck of dust. It's the cleanest room you've ever. There's like a diamond chandelier in the living room. It's like perfect. And so I'm laughing, and then we come to this last scene, right? Ricky is showing off his dad's like Nazi plate in his dad's room. And he asks her if she wants to see the most beautiful thing he ever filmed, and of course she agrees. And the screen cuts, and they're sitting in front of a TV as a plastic bag is blowing in the wind, like in a parking lot, and I'm losing my shit. I think this is the stupidest thing I have ever seen. What do you mean it's the most beautiful thing you've ever filmed? And I feel like I was baited here.
So
because
wait, hold on.
I actually
baited.
I actually get it.
Yeah, there's some important. And Chadwick's going to explain it, and I'm sure you are too. He actually says some really profound things in here, which I completely missed because there's okay, hold on, well, all right, we'll give our opinions, but wait, he says a lot of what's supposed to be important dialogue here, but I can't hear it because all of the funny and weird things that happen right up to this moment, I'm like, this is the dumbest. A plastic bag is the most beautiful thing, and he tries to explain why, and it doesn't matter. It's not hitting with me at all. I'm dying. And like my girlfriend is getting embarrassed. I'm being loud at this point. I'm laughing so hard because I'm like, this kid's a psychopath. He is a voyeur. He is a creeper. He looks like a Mormon mutant. Like he looks insane. He's got murderous blue, like glass blue eyes. He's super creepy. And now he asked you if you wanted to see a dead woman on film, but instead he showed you this. There's nothing about this that is profound or important. And because I could not quit. He's just brooding. So
at that point, when he hit play, she should have turned to him, and then just a clip of Dave Chappelle saying,
"You have smoked yourself retarded."
He has, though. Yeah, but no, Chadwick said he kind of understood. So let him defend the scene because I kind of feel, now that I rewatched it, I feel kind of a little both ways, somewhat.
I don't know, dude. I've never filmed a bag floating around or anything, but I have over 80 100 pictures on my phone that I
Jesus.
take. Yeah, like I see stuff all the time, and it just kind of like speaks to me. A lot of contrast, a lot of just the way things are framed in nature.
If you have an eye for that. You've always had an eye for that.
I get that, and honestly, like the video is okay. I get his explanation and everything like that. I get it. He said it went on for like 15 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
And God damn it, no. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well,
no, however, his explanation is much more beautiful than what he filmed.
That's
And
exactly what I'm saying.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. However, I will say the guy smokes a lot of pot. Like he's like, oh, I got a bag.
Yeah, I think too. Like,
dealer.
and it proved to be probably the most iconic scene from this movie.
Yeah,
that's always like that. You see the plastic bag and you think American
parodied
Beauty,
and
So I mean, like to their credit, fucking home run there.
Going around Robin, and I'll start. The most beautiful thing that you guys have ever filmed. I filmed a dead frozen homeless person.
All right, I'll go next. It was also the same dead frozen homeless person.
So I was not the one that actually filmed it, but
you saw a dead frozen homeless person.
Gibbs,
he was filming me while I filmed a dead frozen homeless person.
But Gibbs filmed my aunt when she was homeless and died in the cold.
All right, so let me bring it home. So watching it again, the scene did not hit for me as it should have because of all of the weird hilarity of this character Ricky and all of his just nonsense, right? And I feel like Jane's sort of a backdrop in all of these scenes, right? It's just.
I don't know, man. I think that, like I said, I think that his explanation was amazing. It is an iconic scene. It is beautiful. It's been parodied a million times. I love what he said. I think they could have found something else.
Well, I agree with you.
I love this movie. I'm not trying to be
to me, in Leaf's defense too. Back in the day, we did use humor as a defense mechanism when shit got a little too
real.
Yeah,
we both lived real lives.
Leaf, after this, I see in your notes that it's just labeled the beatings.
Beatings, yeah. So the beatings will continue until morale improves. The next scene, Jane returns home from her plastic bag video viewing excursion to find her parents are already having dinner, and of course they're fighting. Lester basically explains he's blackmailed his company for $60,000 and quit his job.
Your father lost his job today.
Yeah,
I didn't lose it. It's not like, oh, where'd it go? I quit.
Yes, and
please pass the asparagus.
Yeah,
yes, he asked multiple times for the asparagus to be passed, and no one is respecting him. And Lester has actually finally had enough. And his daughter, of course, hates him, and his wife hates him, and no one respects him. And he explodes and grabs a plate of asparagus and flings it against the wall. I
get no respect.
Which was not what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to smash it on the ground. So again, everybody in that scene was like, what just fucking happened? And then you see the fucking lemon wedge or whatever, like on the wall. I laughed at that part. I was like, oh my God, it's stuck to the fucking wall.
Like one of the sticky octopuses we used to have in cereal boxes you can throw against the wall.
Yeah.
Yes. And so this scene is meant to be a sort of a serious, moment as well, because Lester is obviously not dealing with his anger towards his wife or his daughter healthfully, but also you kind of understand his frustration. Well, that's the thing.
Maybe he's not been handling it all these years, and it's built up to a boiling point, and now it's coming over the top.
That's exactly what's happening, and and obviously he should have let out the steam. And this is a lesson for a lot of men with anger issues. You got to let out the steam, and he hasn't done that. So later on, after the dinner, after Lester explodes and sets some new ground rules for dinner, his wife is trying to
the music,
and it gets worse after dinner. Carolyn goes up to the room and tries to basically be like, "I'm glad you saw that outburst because this is the way that life is." And Jane starts to sort of be petulant and ungrateful, and Carolyn just paps her up across the face, and it's that
Gross.
looks gross.
Yeah.
We didn't even
She
have a
slaps
house.
her.
We lived in a duplex.
Yeah. And it's always about position and things with Caroline, as we've learned from the past. Like, she defines her existence now and I think that's a really important, character development for that character. It's just she's obsessed with status. It's just all that matters to her. It's all she has. And her daughter disrespecting the things that they have was an offense worthy to be slapped across the face to Caroline, which is just awful. So, of course, Caroline starts crying, and leaves the room after slapping her daughter. And what does Jane do? She just unfurls her fat rack to the open window because she knows her boyfriend is watching, which he is. He's already got the camera spying on her. And she just takes off her bra, nude scene straight up. And, he's absolutely enjoying it.
And this chick had been saving money for a boob job.
This is a problem.
So now she's
probably
got money.
Another reason why some people think that this should get disappeared. That's not a real phrase, but anyway, I want to say what I want. But she was 17 whenever she filmed it.
Ooh,
so
really,
I didn't know
it was a little bit of an issue there. But
how do you have to have you have to when you're under 18, you have to have your parents.
Okay, now here's
site.
here's the funny part. Her dad was on site when that happened. Her dad was a porn star in the 70s. Jack Birch.
Then. What was his name?
Jack Birch.
Yeah, so underage boobs, quite unfortunate. So as Ricky is filming his girlfriend, who is doing a strip show for him, his dad bursts in, discovering that Ricky had broken into his special room and viewed his Nazi memorabilia.
How did he know?
That I never figured that out.
There was probably something out of place. I don't think that they ever say.
Yeah, I don't think they did, but I was just like, damn.
I assume that he left the curio cabinet unlocked.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Or maybe he has it in a certain way where it may have been a little bit cockeyed, or I don't know.
Maybe his Nazi plate was off center.
Yeah, his Nazi plate may have been off center. He asked him how did you break in? Did you pick the lock or something like that? And he just beats the ever living daylights, beat the brakes off Ricky.
Yeah, so he's beating the shit out of him.
So he's beating the shit out of him, and he stops because basically Ricky's like, "Oh well, I was trying to show my girlfriend your memorabilia or whatever." Yeah, and so he stops beating him. And he's just like, you need discipline, which he does. He absolutely does need discipline. He's filmed a homeless dead woman, so he needs something. Yeah, absolutely. So
thank you for trying to teach me, sir.
And man, Chris Cooper really
that's
is
kind of
so
rough, though.
Fucking beautiful in that scene. And there's two parts. There's one part earlier whenever he's getting the urine sample and shit like that. It's the things that Chris Cooper doesn't say in these where he's gonna say something and he just holds back.
Yeah.
That God damn, man. I want to hear what he has to say, but I love the fact that they held it back.
Right.
Yeah, they have that fractured relationship where I guess Ricky's been in trouble in the past, and then his dad is just super hardcore, strict on discipline and all that military background.
Originally, whenever they made this movie, originally there was a scene in this movie. I'm glad they took it out, but after he beat the shit out of his son, he goes back to that room, and the reason why that room is so special, he has a picture of him and his some other person, another dude in Vietnam that he supposedly had a relationship with, and he goes into the room and he's looking at the picture. They took that out, which makes it a much better reveal later on.
Right. Yeah.
Much more shocking, but so that's why he's upset that he went into the room. It's not necessarily that he touched the plate or whatever.
So he thought that he may have seen the picture or whatever.
Yeah, that is something special.
Got you, because it's that. Got you.
Okay. Job, I didn't know that, but we do learn more about him in the next scene where Jane and Ricky, as their relationship has progressed, obviously it's turned sexual. They're hanging out in the room. And they're talking about their past traumas, and we get the scene that was filmed at the very beginning of the film where she basically asks,
killing her dad.
Killing her dad, and he reveals his own trauma about his own father, and he thinks that his father's a decent man, that's just overbearing and cruel at times.
And she's not legitimately talking about killing her dad.
No,
she's
'cause
just
she said
talking
that-
about how embarrassing he is. Like, every time her friend comes around, he sprays his shorts, whatever.
That was
And
the thing too. Is like after this, when she has that, she's like basically says like, I don't really want you to kill my dad. Like,
Yeah.
I was just
But-
joking about that. Or
And he's
whatever,
like, "Yeah, baby, it's pillow talk. Come on."
But when she says that, he's already turned the camera off. So the first time I watched this, I thought that he was setting her up. Like,
same.
Yeah.
He's got her on video now talking about how she wants her dad dead.
Mhm.
So if he kills him and robs a place or whatever, then he's going to just put it on her, or he's
Right.
going to blackmail her into doing something she doesn't want to do.
Right.
Something.
But with that framing device, or like I said earlier, where they had the courtroom shit at the beginning and the end, him turning off the camera, they ended up getting arrested.
Yeah,
At the end and going to jail and all that stuff. They go to trial. They end up going to jail. They get convicted of the murder and stuff like that. And it's because he turned it off right before she says, "I'm joking."
Right.
Yeah.
You know. So like, yeah, that whole thing was really an original part of the trial.
Looking back on the film, you can really see where it does kind of watch like a crime drama, and it's only until when you said that, because I was going to ask that before, so you already answered like one of my major questions about it. Because I'm like, even in the very beginning, it's just video film footage, and when I was watching again, I was like, why don't they cut this out? Why don't they just start with Kevin Spacey's? And in hindsight, in my opinion, they should have edited that out in the very beginning of the film. They should have just started with Kevin Spacey's monologue. Right,
Yeah.
like it shows that video, and I'm like, why are they showing this video?
But I think it ties. I
first?
don't think it doesn't tie together really the first time you watch it, but the second time you watch it, it's one of those like where it.
I still
ties everything together a little
I
bit.
still think they could have cut that out at the beginning of the film.
I do too.
It doesn't make sense now, but when you explain it the way you explained it, like that, it makes sense because it does. You feel like that even until the climax of the film, which we'll talk about in a minute. There's moments where you're like, well, who killed who? What happened here?
Yeah,
and it makes you kind of leads you into a little bit of a twist there just for a minute. And
it's great
and
film
it's
right
almost
there.
like a crime drama. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So you have that scene where the kids basically explain their own past traumas in the film, and then we go to the next scene is basically Ricky's father playing retarded Sherlock Holmes. He starts suspecting Ricky's relationship with the father next door, obviously being Lester.
Yeah,
that his relationship is a little off.
You get the him telling him to call him the Brian Ballard.
He starts off, with the whole "this is the first day of your rest of your life" thing, and then like everything, like the rest of the film is you can see exactly why he thought that.
Yeah,
Well,
he's running.
clues.
Yeah, he's running with the gay guys, and and he stops and talks. Yeah, Lester. He's running with the gay guys, and then he stops and talks with Ricky, and he sees the video of him like working out, and then
he sees out of his window because it's like the pane separates.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's him leaning back, and it looks like he's getting a blowjob. And then of course Ricky just straight up says, "Yeah, I'm the hottest piece of ass." What's the line?
In 3 states.
Basically. Well, in a minute, that's. But
$2,000. I'm that good.
His dad,
and you should send me fuck.
Oh man! So his dad tries to piece the pieces together, and he gets the wrong idea. It just his son obviously is selling drugs to Lester, but it looks as if they're having a homosexual relationship, which he of course has professed to hate. Right? Like that's like in multiple scenes. He is not with that is not acceptable.
Those certain types of people make him want to puke his fucking guts out.
Yeah, I mean that's what he says.
Which is we found out later.
But now we have the big bust, son. Right, Leaf?
Yeah, me too.
Yes. So, the big bust happens. This is an amazing scene for all abused and oppressed men everywhere. They unite after this. Love it. After what we can assume is yet another rousing round of sexual intercourse, Caroline and the king decide to go get fast food, not really realizing And if Caroline had had one conversation with her husband, she would have known where his new job was. It was at a fast food restaurant, Mr. Smiley's.
Kevin Spacey has like one line here, like where he's cooking the fries, and there's this little banter between employees that it's like just off that one body language, that one line, you realize like this is the most fun he's had at a job in forever. Like he's enjoying himself at this fast food gig before he overhears his wife.
What we need is a paying gig.
Yeah.
And I think him besting his wife was also super fun.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, it was a thing of beauty. So Lester is on the fry cook at this fast food restaurant. He's frying burgers, back to his old ways, I guess. Old, if you want to put it that way. And he hears his wife. He hears his wife's voice on the drive-through ordering monitoring system, and he walks up and grabs the food and serves it to his wife, who is, of course, devastated and shocked. Right as the king is just kissing his wife's neck.
Yeah,
and it's like she's caught red freaking handed, dude. Like, and she immediately tries to go back to her trademark. Well, initially she sort of like denies it. She's like, well, this is my work friend, even though she's caught red-handed. She's just a literal piece of shit. And then she's like, when that doesn't work, she immediately goes to her trademark, yell and shout him down. And Chadwick give the line. It's basically Kevin Spacey's not having it. Yeah.
Oh no, you don't ever get to tell me what to do ever again.
And he hands them the food.
So y'all
and big shout out to Janine, the senior drive-through manager. My God, she's like, "Oh, you are so busted." She's like, "Will you mind? This is not your business." He's like, "Actually, Janine is
you are kind of on her turf."
As Chadwick and Gibbs have already alluded to, Colonel Fitz decides to confront his son at finding out about his gay sexual indiscretions, or so he thinks.
What did he make you do?
Of course, Ricky denies it, and after a quick beating for old time's sake, he is thrown unceremoniously from his home. Ricky leaves, grabbing his only possessions, and goes.
His only possessions are 40 G birds, by the way.
His dad's like, I will not sit here and let my son become a cocksucker. And he's like, what does he say? I'd rather you die, or something like that.
That's like when Ricky
he's like,
that one cut.
Yeah, he goes, you mean that, don't you?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, this is my chance to get out of here then.
Yep.
Yeah. So before then, Ricky just kind of viewed his dad as a misunderstood, extra strict old man. But at that moment, he realizes his father really, actually hates gay people,
right?
And is just controlling and just a miserable human being. And that's why he tells him the last thing he said to him is like, "You're really a sad old man."
Yep. Yeah.
And turns and he leaves and
takes
runs
him
to
and his 40 fucking G-birds back in 99 for a 17, 18-year-old kid.
Which, by the way,
that amount of money would have bought your father's love, by the way.
How the hell was he getting this weed? Does anybody know? Does anyone? He said it's
he talks later, like he says like I have friends in New York there and shit like that, and Angela's like, "What, your drug dealer friends?" And he's like,
"Yes,
yeah."
So like it's probably like where he gets it is
it's
his drug dealer
this guy, I believe his name's Samson Simpson, but he sticks by his story. He's from Jamaica,
right near the beach, boy.
So that's actually the next scene, Gibbs. He runs. So after that, he runs to the next door and tries to collect his girlfriend Jane. And
who turns on her shitty friend who is just obsessed with herself only.
Yeah, she can't imagine that anybody would be interested in anyone other than her.
Yeah, exactly.
And exactly. Angela calls Jane ugly. They have it out. Tells her she can't possibly be thinking about moving out with a crazy, probably psychopath kid. And she turns out to be right on that respect.
Yeah.
That this guy is actually crazy, but she's going to move out anyway in many ways. Because he asked her, he says, will you come with me if I leave for New York tonight? And Jane hates her life. She hates her parents. She's like, yes, I'm out of this bitch. Let's just spend the night here tonight in my bedroom, and we're going.
I want Jane and Ricky to be in New York, but the sequel is just them frozen in an alleyway while somebody's filming.
Cold Love, American Beauty 2.
And that's when Scott Bakula like shows up out of nowhere. It's like, oh boy.
He's like, finally.
Earlier in the film, Angela professes the worst thing that you can be is ordinary.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, Ricky hits her with, you're a fake, you're a fraud, and the worst part of it all is you're ordinary.
Yeah.
And you don't want to admit it.
That cut her to the core, like you said. Now she's on the offensive.
She is. And Lester's in this. He's in it. He's with it, man.
And this reminds me again of a great movie that we all love, That's My Boy. When she's like, yeah, I can make sex lots of ways. I can start by doing hand jobs, or you can eat me out, or
I'm a virgin.
All right, so listen. Lester's with it. It's an incredible moment. But despite all of her boasting and her admitted slutty ways in the past, she's actually a virgin. She admits it. And Lester finally does the right thing, changes his mind, realizes this is wrong. She's a virgin. I can't take this young girl's virginity.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is ignoring laws and crimes.
The worst part for Kevin Spacey is, though, he looks over to his left, and then like Chris Hansen's there, and he's just like, "What are you doing here?
Why don't you have a seat?
Why don't you have a seat?
I made you some cookies.
What are you doing here? I'm just being stupid, I guess.
So they try to get past this embarrassing moment. Lester makes her some food. Angela obviously realizes she was making a gigantic mistake. He was like, it's fine. We're going to get past this. And he asks about his daughter, since that's her best friend. He's got her alone. He's like, how's Jane? And you see he actually really does love his daughter. He misses the way things used to be when they were a kid. He misses his old wife. Even though she's cheated on him, Lester's still like, man, I still miss things how they were. Like, I miss my life. And Angela asks him how he's doing. And for the first time in the entire film, he has sort of started to make peace with where he came from and where he is now. And he has that moment of peace, looking back on his life and contentment, and says, I'm great, actually.
What about when Ricky's dad?
Yeah, we missed a scene in the garage earlier. Whenever,
so Lester is out there working out again, and the garage door is closed, and he looks through the window and he sees Ricky's dad standing out there in the pouring ass rain, just like looking in at him.
Dude, and actually this scene is responsible for several jokes I use on people at work all the time because I keep waiting for the day when they pretend like they don't like me and then come in and open mouth kiss me one day and then shoot me in the head.
In the garage. I forgot about that scene. Yeah, I didn't miss that one where
you try to forget about it.
It's once again, like, the language that Lester uses is very confusing, and it's like he's like, you know what, this whole thing is a front, like,
the marriage.
This is a sham marriage. It's just an illusion, whatever. And he doesn't care that his wife was out with somebody else, and that makes the Colonel like fucking be like, oh, so you too, bro, and then like you do that. And then, of course, he's rejected, leaves in shame, and that's
So you find out that the whole movie with his tough talk against homosexuals, it was just him doth protest too much.
It's some self-loathing.
It's super self-loathing, and that's why he doesn't want Ricky to be like that. Is because he thinks that life leads to a miserable life like his own,
right?
Where it's just going to lead to like being awesome.
Which is great about this movie too, is because just because the character kind of sucks ass, like you kind of see the dots are connected at the end of the movie where you're like, oh,
Yeah, and you actually
everybody-
kind of feel for him a little bit because,
Yeah, I totally do.
he spent this whole life, but maybe that's why his wife is like comatose. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she knows that he's gay, but he's spent his whole life being miserable because he's not with the kind of person that he wants to be.
Right,
and then finally he like puts himself out there because all signs point toward Kevin Spacey being gay, and then he gets rejected.
Yeah.
So
and now he's leaving humiliated.
Yeah.
And he needs to get rid of that humiliation.
Right.
You know, so Kevin Spacey says, you know, I'm great. And he gets this amazing smile on his face that just, God damn it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. They show him pick up the picture of him and Jane and Caroline.
His family.
And, you know, having a good time and stuff. And he sits there and the camera pans from him as he's putting down the picture. It shows flowers.
A gun go in the back of his head.
Well, no, yeah, it shows a gun go in the back of his head. It shows the red flowers against a white background. And the second the red flowers leave, pans over, white background, and boom,
Slap.
blood.
Yeah.
And and it's just such
the movie
an amazing
ends so
movement.
incredible with everybody. It shows everybody's point of view when the gunshot happens because you leading up to this, you don't know who did it because the wife has a gun in the car.
Yeah.
Like, you know, daughter's pissed off. They're about to leave. There's all kinds of shit. And then you start seeing everybody's point of view until it finally cuts.
And you see like Ricky looking into Lester's face and he has this look of contentment on his face.
Because he's finally seen a dead body.
And originally in the originally they were going to have like they're going to show Ricky's dad like you know hide his shit and everything like that. Ricky's mom find the bloodied shirts and stuff like that and hide it, and then Ricky's dad is the one that turns over the camera, like the footage that to the cops of him saying that. So Ricky's dad actually helps them go to jail. Cut out for very good fucking reason.
Right.
The movie's better without it.
Until I watched it last night, I guess it's a false memory. I thought there was just a quick scene of him cleaning the gun and putting it back up on his little peg wall, but it doesn't show that.
No,
it just shows him. He walks in and he's covered in blood.
He's got gloves
on. And all that stuff. Yeah. And then you hear the voiceover of Kevin Spacey, like you know, flashing back to the past and talking about like he's going to how they're going to be, you know, missed and shit like that. And it's so touching. And the tone of his voice and the voiceover is so like calm.
Yeah. Well, it's like peace. Yeah, it's peace at the end, like where he talks about your life flashing before your eyes and what he was thinking of before it happened and everything. Yeah. Like it's a great scene, great way to
love
end the
that
movie.
he has for his family and stuff, and you know, like I just it's so touching when it ends.
And then you see Carolyn, like she comes in and like you don't know. She's so mad when she comes in and so like empowered. You think that she's going to shoot him, but then when I don't think it actually even shows her like see him, but it shows her like she goes up to their bedroom and all of his clothes are like hanging in the closet, and she just kind of collapses like she's trying to hug all the clothes.
You see all the other characters what they were doing when the gunshot happened.
And the thing is, like every single character other than Ricky has changed throughout the entire movie. You know, like, you know, Jane at the beginning of the movie was wearing a bunch of fucking makeup and shit like that. And at the end, she was wearing very little makeup. She's become okay with who she is.
Right.
You know, Lester is happy, content. He's got a job that he loves. And he's okay with everybody as long as they're happy. You know, he's okay with her being happy, whatever it is, with Carolyn being happy. And Carolyn is happy until she finds out, and then she realizes what she's just lost.
Right.
And there she goes into this feeling of mourning. But, you know, shooting the gun, being with the king has revitalized her. You know, and them being apart is actually what makes them happy. There's a lot of change, and sometimes like people have a hard time because they've worked so hard for what they've got. They don't realize that what they've got isn't working. Finding what makes you happy is the most important thing.
I bet that tastes good.
Yep, that's it.
So with that, Guys, do you have any final thoughts on American Beauty? Because look, man, I just can't stop.
You said find what makes you happy, damn it.
Yeah.
I just did. I feel like I just got too serious. I had to whack myself.
No,
out.
that's
No, Chris already ruined
I corrected
that
it. Yeah, I corrected it. Look, man.
He
So
won't let it happen.
guys, if you're listening on YouTube, be sure to do the like, subscribe thing. If you're listening on audio podcast and you dig it, man, leave us a 5-star review. Leave us comments. Shadwick loves those. Gibbs, thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and head over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
A sheepdog carrying $250,000 worth of cocaine in its stomach was found at JFK Airport earlier this week. A customs agent got suspicious when he saw 2 airline employees taking turns sniffing the dog's ass.